From a construction mistake that gave rise to one of the most iconic landmarks in the entire world to a tragic building collapse in China, here are the 5 construction projects that didn't go as planned. We start with Number 5. Lotus Riverside Complex in China. China is known for building things really quickly, but sometimes they prioritize speed over quality. In 2021 alone, they built more than 6 million houses, making them the biggest in the world for construction and real estate. But because they build so much so fast, they sometimes make mistakes that can be costly and dangerous. One big mistake happened in Shanghai in 2009. A 13-story apartment building suddenly fell over, luckily not hitting other buildings. One worker died because he was inside when it happened. Investigators found out that the building fell over because they were digging a hole for a garage underneath it. This made the ground under the building weak, and it collapsed. Water from a nearby river also got mixed in, making the ground muddy and unstable. But the company in charge of the project had been warned about these problems before. The company that was supposed to supervise the project had told them about the loose soil, but they ignored the warnings. What's even more concerning is that the supervising company was hired by the construction company, the same one causing the problems. So if the supervising company complained too much, the construction company could punish them by reducing their pay. After the building fell, 9 people from the construction company were taken in for investigation. People who had bought apartments in the building also demanded refunds or compensation because their homes were now destroyed. This incident shows that while China is amazing at building fast, they need to be more careful about safety and quality to prevent disasters like this from happening again. Number 4. The Entempo Skyscraper. The Entempo skyscraper in Benidorm, Spain is really tall, more than 200 meters, and it has 47 floors. It's not like regular buildings because people live there. In fact, it's the tallest residential building in the European Union. A long time ago, in 2006, they started building this skyscraper with a lot of money, 92 million euros, from a bank called Caixa Galicia. They thought it would only take 3 years to finish it. But then something bad happened. In 2008, the global financial crisis made everything difficult. The company building the skyscraper went bankrupt, and they had to stop working on it. People got really worried when they heard a rumor that there were no elevators in the building. Elevators are like small rooms that carry people up and down the tall building. A newspaper in Spain wrote about it, and many other news outlets talked about it too. But that was not true. The sales manager, Rafael Ballesta, said, "We are constructing the highest residential skyscraper in Europe, so how is it possible to build without elevators?" Even though there were elevators, many problems happened. In 2010, a new company took over the project, but the workers didn't get paid for 4 months. They were very upset and thought about going on strike. Also, one day, when 13 people were in the elevator, it crashed. Luckily, the emergency brakes stopped it, and only 2 people got hurt. After some time, things got better for the building. Spain's real estate market improved, and they thought they could finish the Entempo by 2014. But then the architects left their jobs without telling anyone why. A year later, the owner of the project had money problems and filed for bankruptcy. It seemed like the architects left because of these problems. So, for a few years, the building just sat there, not finished. Finally, in 2017, a company from Connecticut called SVP Global took over. They spent 60 million euros to finish the building, even with the problems from COVID-19. After 15 long years, the Entempo skyscraper opened in 2021. It had many owners and money issues, but now people can live in it. Number 3. Berlin Aquadome. In the middle of the Radisson Collection Hotel in Germany's capital, there was a huge aquarium called the Aquadome. It was 25 meters tall and held 1 million liters of water, making it the biggest cylindrical aquarium globally. Inside, more than 1,500 tropical fish of 100 different types swam around. What's even cooler is that there was a see-through elevator in the middle of the aquarium, so hotel guests could ride through it and see the fish up close. Because the aquarium was so big and important, it needed regular care and cleaning to keep the fish safe and make sure the hotel guests were safe too. But on the morning of December 16th, 2022, something terrible happened. The whole aquarium suddenly burst open, and all that water flooded the hotel lobby and even went out onto the streets. It was so powerful that it made the ground shake, and instruments that measure shaking, called seismographs, could feel it. Luckily, not many people were around when it happened, because it was early in the morning. Only 2 people got hurt and had to go to the hospital. If it had been later in the day when more people were there, it could have been much worse. Experts think that the aquarium burst because the material it was made of got weak. The water inside was warm, but it was really cold outside, below freezing, the night before. This big difference in temperature might have made the walls of the aquarium break. It was a big accident, but it could have been even worse if more people were there. Perhaps a little unexpected, number 2 is the Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is a famous building in Italy. It's known worldwide because it's not straight. It tilts to the side. This Leaning Tower is special because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which means it's considered very important. Each year, over 6 million people come to see it. The tower was built a long time ago in the 13th century. It was supposed to be a bell tower for the Pisa Cathedral, but there was a big problem from the start. When they were building the 2nd floor, the tower started sinking on one side. This happened because the ground it was on was not strong, and the tower's base was not deep enough. So why didn't it fall over? Well, there's an interesting story. Construction stopped for a while because the people who were building it got into conflicts with their neighbors. During this time, the soil under the tower had a chance to settle and become more solid. Over many years, the tower was finished, but it kept leaning. In the 1990s, the tilt became even worse, and people worried it might fall. After another tower collapsed nearby in 1989, they closed the Leaning Tower of Pisa to visitors. They did some things to make it safer, like taking out the bells on top and adding weights and cables to stop it from tilting more. Now in the 21st century, the tower's tilt is less than 4 degrees, and it's safe to visit. People from all over the world still come to see it, and they love it because of its famous mistake. Sometimes, even mistakes can make something special. And finally, number 1, Sampoong Department Store. In the late 1980s, Seoul, South Korea experienced a major construction and development boom due to the upcoming 1988 Summer Olympics. This period saw a rush of investments pouring into the city. During this time, the Sampoong Department Store, a 9-story shopping mall in a bustling district, was built. Originally planned as an apartment building, the project's future chairman, Lee Jun, made changes that compromised its structural integrity. Crucial support columns were removed to accommodate escalators and an additional floor. When the construction company raised concerns, Lee Jun fired them and replaced them with his own team. The department store was completed in just 2 years and became highly successful, attracting 40,000 visitors daily. However, Cracks began to appear in the building's top floor by 1995, signaling danger. On June 29, 1995, the cracks worsened, prompting the closure of the fifth floor. Engineers declared the entire structure at risk of collapse. An emergency meeting recommended evacuating staff and customers, but Lee Jun resisted to avoid revenue loss. Shortly after, Lee Jun left the building. At 5:52 p.m., the store started producing cracking sounds, forcing an evacuation. But it was too late. The roof and support columns in the south wing collapsed, trapping over 1,500 people and resulting in 502 deaths. A devastating peacetime disaster in South Korean history. Lee Jun, his son, and company associates were found guilty of negligence and received over 10 years in prison. The incident prompted a review of construction safety laws and exposed corruption among city officials who had taken bribes during construction, leading to their 10-year sentences as well. Controversially, the site of the Sampung department store was sold to a private developer by the Seoul government. Today, a luxury apartment complex stands on this tragic site. A separate memorial was erected to remember the incident. Do you know other similar construction mistakes like these? Which projects do you want us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.